Hello and greetings from across the media multiverse. Today I am going to have a look at the Superman graphic novel called Phantoms, which is based on a series of 12 issues of Action Comics. Aether enters the Phantom Zone to make life better for the inmates, or zoners as they are referred to. One of the ways he does this is by bringing solidity to the wraith-like dimension. However, the power needed to do this is drawn from the main universe, and this causes fractures in Earth's solar system. Despite his efforts to make life more preferable and better for the zoners, he gets no gratitude in return, and so he starts to punish them with brutality. And so Superman's task is twofold in this epic adventure. Firstly, he's got to stop the solar system from fracturing, and secondly, he has got to provide justice to the zoners. This 12-part epic is a must. We get to explore the Phantom Zone, the last days of Krypton, and we see a battle to save the Earth. We also see what is commonly known as the Superman family at work, and this includes reactions from the Kandorians in the Bottle City as the Zoners escape and cause havoc. And all the strands are all weaved together naturally. Now, I am not as familiar with current DC continuity following the various reboots since the Crisis on Infinite Earths. But for someone who was brought up with the Bronze Age era of DC Comics, this was a real blast to the past. We have the Bottle City, the Phantom Zone, different Kryptonites, Mon-El from Daxam, Jor-El and Lara sending their boy through space, although admittedly that story has carried through in all the various incarnations. And the whole story, the whole ethos, the whole mythology feels so familiar, and it is nice that the continuity I grew up with is still referenced to some extent. Supergirl is Superman's cousin, and she didn't die. She is not the Matrix protoplasm. She is who I remember her to be, and to be fair, she has been so for some time. The Kandorians, who were regrown and housed on a different planet back in 1979, are now back where they belong in the mythology. However, the sad part of it is that they are now once again ant-sized people and trapped in a bottle city. At 12 issues, there are a lot of subplots. The most intriguing one is that of Superman going back to the last days of Krypton and meeting his parents. Now, it is clear that the Zoners hate Jor-El. They hate Jor-El with a vengeance. Jor-El found the zone. Jor-El is the guy who brought it to the ruling council. He is the cause for their imprisonment there. However, Jor-El is no more. Krypton is no more. Superman is Jor-El's son. Superman is the focus of the hatred. The hatred for Jor-El has transferred to the Sun. The Son is paying for the sins of his father. Having said all that, in this story, when Superman goes back to the last days of Krypton, he sees that Jor-El too had issues with the Phantom Zone. Being in isolation is not good to a person's well-being. But the ruling council accepted the zone as the place for criminals. We also meet Mon-El, who has a very tragic story. He landed on Earth, and due to his extraordinary powers, Clark thought he was a fellow Kryptonian. However, he is from Daxam, and due to an impurity on Earth, Mon-El was going to die. In order to stop him from dying, he was placed in the Phantom Zone in a moment of stasis where he is waiting for Superman to find a cure to allow him to live. It is a very tragic story, but in this particular version there is a happiness of sort compared to other versions that I've read over the years and decades. Now, this has all been positive, and there has been one subplot I have not really enjoyed, and I am not going to dwell on it too much, and that is the subplot between Connor Kent and Conk Keenan. Despite that, it didn't really detract from the main story. Because I enjoyed this so much, I did a search through the internet to see how this has gone down in fandom, and I've seen it's not really gone down well at all, and to say the reviews are mixed is probably the best to get. But as with all reviews and reviewers, this is simply an opinion, and personally I thoroughly enjoyed this story. I zipped through the graphic novel, found it thrilling. And that is my thought on Phantoms. Have you read it? Either the graphic novel version or the 12-part episodic version? What did you think of it? Grateful to hear. So until next time, may your news be good news and happy times and places. Farewell.